Welcome to the Call Your Cousins podcast, a podcast dedicated to exploring deep and complex topics that shape our world and human experiences. Before we dive into today's episode, we want to acknowledge the sensitive nature of some of the content we discuss. Please be advised that this podcast may include themes and discussions that could be triggering or uncomfortable for some listeners, including but not limited to discussions on mental health, violence, abuse, and other potentially distressing topics. Listener discretion is advised. Remember, this podcast is for informational and educational, but most importantly, entertainment purposes only, and should not be taken as professional advice. The views expressed by hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Call Your Cousins podcast. Enjoy the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Whatever time you're joining us, the cousins thank you for doing so. Welcome back to the Call Your Cousins podcast, a now tangible group chat of cousins that wanted to share our thoughts, humor, and growth with the world. And everyone's invited. Most of y'all. We bite. Welcome back to the Call Your Cousins podcast. Fantastic Four back in the building. We are all in attendance today. Research team, P Money.
What's up?
Twin. Fresh off Mother's Day. We are
What
in
up?
May, the month of mothers. Shout out to all the mothers out there. How was y'all Mother's Day? Let's jump into it. Good morning, fam.
I would just
Good
like to
morning.
say my Mother's Day was terrible, but I digress.
Coming in hot.
I definitely drank myself to a coma on Mother's Day, so I'm here with you, P Money.
I think some people have the misconception that it's supposed to be something. I even hear this from actual mothers that it never. It's like the climax that just doesn't hit right, just right for everybody. Or maybe it's gotten up there with the Christmas, the expectations of what you should not do on Mother's Day when, like you said, you know, when we're thinking about our moms, it should be just a month full of love, care, and giving towards motherly, feminine energy, maybe.
I don't think people consider that Mother's Day is not necessarily a happy time for everyone. So I try to stay away from all that stuff. But my Spellman sister, who I just reconnected with, sent me a thinking of you on Mother's Day gift. And it was like this, y'all know I'm a pothead. It was like this little small bee thing that you can put your joints in and look real fancy. Like put it on your ring finger and look real fancy. So that made me feel special. Oh, that's the one you showed
Shout
me?
out to your Spellman sis.
Yes.
Shout out to Spellman.
And she got 3 kids, so she didn't even have to think about me on Mother's Day. Shout out, girl. I love you. You my.
It's probably a big part of it, though, right? Moms, mothers, like you said, caring. If you retract the mother part, just nurturing, giving, energy, focusing on that, you could really. You said something interesting, Twin, when you said you think people don't consider that for most people, Mother's Day isn't a happy time, and I disagree. I think people do know, they just don't care, and those who do care go out their way to, be nurturing, be loving, be kind. So
We do need like where is the Nurturers Day, Caregivers Day? Because there's a lot of people who care for others who ain't got no kids and deserve to be praised as well. And I feel like we need to add that on. Maybe not to Mother's Day, but we need another day to recognize those people.
when you said caregivers, I definitely thought of like actual caregivers. I was like Labor Day.
Oh yeah, I wonder
Uh,
if they do have a day. They might have their day. Research team.
It's the third Friday of every February. So it would have been February 16th, 2024 of this past year.
Oh,
Caregivers Day?
Yes, National
oh,
Caregivers Day.
that's cute
Oh,
because
Wow,
it's
that's what's
after.
up.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
that's after Valentine's Day. That's kind of cute.
Mhm.
but it's kind of buried in there. I'm finna start celebrating.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think you guys bring a very interesting perspective or side to Mother's Day. Um, I will say my Mother's Day was good, great, exhausting. I went home and kind of helped my mom out because she's a caregiver, and my sister is a new mom of like a physical child that's here. So that brings a lot of, joy, stress, happiness, all the things. But I think it's important that we remember that, yes, we recognize mothers or are supposed to recognize mothers on this one day. But I think we should recognize them every day, just how you should show love every day, not just on Valentine's Day or, you know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily subscribe to just like this one day where you pour into this person and show your appreciation on this one day. I think it's throughout the year. You should express that.
I love that take. Um, I think that's why I'm so critical of the day because I'm a big believer in that. Um, and doing those things without needing praise, right? You are giving freely your love, your flowers, your time, your care, your thoughts, your thoughtfulness towards a woman, right? And so I love that. That's beautiful.
And I also don't think you should have to like bear physical children to be considered like a mother or recognized as, a mother. Because some people have mentors that are motherly or like, you show up for people in a motherly way. So I think just in general, you should recognize those people.
That's a
I
fact.
agree.
That's a fact. Yeah. Let's take a step back really quick. Don't want to start the pod with, somberness and what not. So we'll revisit this towards the end of the broadcast. I do have a loaded question for y'all though. I want to present it to the group. We've
Bring it
seen a
on.
lot on social media about the culture itself. Um, who do y'all think owns Black culture? Like who can lay stake to the claim of Black culture and what's dictated by that?
I feel like I have the answer to who should, but that's a good question because I was thinking about this recently, and I don't feel like we gatekeep Black culture as much as we should. Like, you know how you see videos of a white person or some other ethnicity like killing it, doing something quote unquote that Black people do, and we be like, yeah, get it. It's almost like we like when people like Jamaicans, how Jamaicans like anybody, you could be black, white, yellow, whatever. If you align to Jamaican, they love it. And I feel like that's kind of a Black thing, like just a diaspora thing in general. We kind of I feel like we kind of be proud when people like own our stuff, but then we also be like, y'all appropriating. But we don't gatekeep enough. So what
I
y'all
have a
think?
I have a disagreement there because Jamaicans also don't like homophobe. They are homophobia too, right? A lot of
A lot of Blacks
so
in the diaspora are as well.
yeah. So I'm saying Jamaica, because that's a national identity, right? That we're speaking of, and I think when we're talking about Black culture, we're talking about something that goes into the space of national identity, cultural identity, racial identity. Um, and at most, like you said, from a gatekeeping perspective, Black people should um, do that culturally by protecting what does it mean to even be Blackness. Because I think anybody can do that. I think any race can actually protect Black culture by keeping it based on understanding racially, what does it mean, Blackness? What does it mean? And because you can find that through how, like, Adele, right? Adele loved her some Black culture, and then when she started, dating a Black man, it became even more apparent, right? And so um, she cosplays a little bit or tropes it a bit, but for the most part, or believe that Adele does it from a place of where she just loves Black people. She loves Jamaicans, and that's why she thought it was okay to put her hair in Bantu knots and wear Jamaican colors, right? And so, I think the gatekeeping conversation is definitely a big part of it, and how Black people themselves, and when we say Black, fully Black, non, and that's an issue there as well. You can't really, within the diaspora, look at the genealogy of Black people and truly say we don't have some type of mixture, racial mixing that has happened in our lineage. That's just impossible at this point to some degree. And so, again, it goes back to, I think, who owns the culture, who has cultural claims over it. I think it's more about protecting what does it that culture even mean? What is the Blackness? What it means to be Black actually mean?
What y'all think, Dub? Research team?
I don't think. Honestly, I don't know if I even have an opinion on this. The culture. I don't know if anybody owns the culture right now. I think the culture it might have become bigger than Black people.
I think so too.
The culture is just popular culture now. That's what I think. So when other people appropriate or what's it, culture vulture, all that stuff, like they just doing what they think is popular. I mean, most popular things do come from us folks, but I mean, I don't think we can claim it as our own technically.
Do you believe that? I love that train of thought, because a lot of this whole topic has come out through recent um, rappers, singing rappers, having some um, de- uh, debates and battles most recently. But one person, I thought that if you had a case or looked at a case study in culture, or Black culture being appropriated or taken, was Post Malone. I thought about that most recently, where for the most part, most people like Post Malone. Seems like a pretty innocent white man who came into the scene as heavily, dominated white rapper that people could respect because they just like. I mean, he is that pop guy, right? And he raps, and he creates really good music that can be transcend against racial lines. And when he first came out, he really, did the braids, the gold teeth, and he was already was slowly becoming more tatted up. And now he's like a country looking, like he's a Wrangler guy with the boots, the American flag, the hat, all of that jazz. So I think you're right where you say that, Doug, when you're thinking about who owns it, nobody owns it. Is it now just become this culture is just culture?
Yeah, culture's just culture. It's just whatever's cool at the time, I think. Um, the country thing, it could have always been Post Malone, maybe in his defense. But that first song, that White Iverson song he had back in the day, I wouldn't even consider that like a rap song. Like it was just a cool song, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, I think he just following the money, to be honest with you.
Um, I saw some reporting on cultural identity, and I'm curious to see what you guys take. It has here quoted in NBC News. And this is written by Char Adams, who's a reporter for NBC Black and Rights About Race. Shout out to Char. I follow a lot of her work. So she said, hip hop, like music genres, has racial dimensions and cultural affiliations, conversations and criticisms of whiteness in the industry have existed within the genre for decades, especially as it has grown into a lucrative, culture defining billion-dollar business. What do you guys think about that? Because, like you just said, it follows the money.
I would say for me, it's giving or it's feeling like, oh, it's cool. And it's, this is a way to make money. So let me cross over into what Black people find attractive and what Black people will spend their money on, whether I'm Black or not. Like, how do I capitalize off this culture? How do I capitalize off this particular branding or marketing?
I definitely think white people do that as long as it suits them, and then they go back to being white, i.e., Miley Cyrus and Justin Bieber.
You know,
And
I love where you're going, twin, because the follow-up is, are we really gatekeeping Drake out of Blackness or any person that takes Black culture? Or are we looking at really how do they benefit from white supremacy? So I love that you were going that way, twin.
I don't know that we're gatekeeping Drake, but I feel like Black Americans specifically get a little bit more upset at a Black or a half Black person from somewhere else trying to, like, quote unquote, pretend to be hip than we do against other races that kind of appropriate our stuff. It's almost like we be mad at people who ain't Black enough, who be trying to be Black, but we don't necessarily be mad at the Mileys and the Justin Biebers.
You brought up something that's interesting when you said Black enough. And for the most part, when you guys are looking at a visual representation of us on YouTube, shout out to YouTube and to our subscribers, for the most part, we're all on that darker spectrum of Black where we could introduce colorism into it, right? And had Drake or any person that appropriates Black culture be a darker hue, do we think then it would be easy to have a takeaway on his Blackness because he would essentially look more Black? And one thing that I think about that is about Beyonce's hair. There was all this discussion about, there's no way her hair was that long as a Black woman, and the way she bleaches and blondes and does the things that she does to her hair. And when we saw her do her own tutorial on Cred, it was like, Beyonce not Black enough for her own hair? Kind of crazy.
I think when that happened with Beyonce, my expectation was that her hair should be long. Like, she has the means, the financial resources for her hair to be taken care of in a healthy, consistent way. So my expectation was like, yeah, she should have like booty butt length, bleach blonde hair because she can afford to.
Wait, what happened? People were saying she wasn't Black enough because she got long hair?
Bleach.
You know how much she bleaches her hair?
Yeah.
Like that bleach. That right now she's rocking that very ash platinum look.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the color, people say she's not Black enough.
Well,
it should be broken off and like she should get basically bald headed.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who said that?
The culture. That's what I'm saying is like and then I think to her defense, we troll these people enough that she felt that she had to drop the tutorial, right? Because even when you saw the way, like, I don't know if you noticed this, research team, but even the way she took down her ponytail, like you saw, she takes very good care with her hair. She was very, you know, very like almost as if it was feathers on her head. And so, and I bring that up because I think the releasing of the video was to troll us being the culture. But then, that's what I'm saying is that when we think about Blackness and the degree in which we criticize, because and I say this because I've been in some seminars that were talking about how Beyonce was recently embodying country, and which is ridiculous because she is from Texas. It'd be different if she didn't live in, like, she wasn't from Texas, right? It would be a little bit ridiculous, but she's from Texas. And a lot of Black people said, but if she was not the color, the hue that she was, that she probably wouldn't be able to do what she's been able to do and move through all the different genres.
Well, I agree with that, especially since she came out in the early 2000s when it was really ridiculous. Have y'all gone back and looked at some of them early 2000 movies? We was really on some
We was
colorist.
wilding.
We was
Wildly.
tripping, bruh. And I feel like back then, if you weren't super, 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 super skinny and of the lighter hue, you weren't really gonna make it far. But going back to the hair thing, I don't understand why associating damaged hair with Black women is still a thing. Haven't we have our own products and stuff now to where that shouldn't still be an idea? I think, like, I dye my own natural hair bleach blonde all the time, and my shit is healthy and full and moist, okay? And
You
I
also
ain't
have
nowhere
good
near
hair.
rich.
You,
So
you also have really good hair, texture, your coils.
See, what is that? What is that? What is that? Good hair. Does that apply to bad hair?
No,
I think
good.
it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie.
I know,
And
but I was
it's a trope on the movie as well as the culture. Is she just defined for her what good hair is, which is moistness, fullness, the ability to be able to put. I mean, at the end of the day, when you bleach your hair, it's a chemical. It is the new relaxer, right? And so when we was just for me in it forever, what did just for me replace, right? The hot comb. And it goes just back to, how do you treat your hair? How do we treat hair? How do we take care of our hair? It's no different than how do we take care of our skin, like the soap that you're using, the deodorant you use, self-care. And so I think so to back away from what's good and bad, I think she was defining for herself what good hair is, because the negative of that would be breakage, shedding, thinning, baldness.
It do be a lot of people with no edges, and I do be kind of shocked by that in 2024.
They be gone too. They
How
done
your
banged up.
edges gone?
They gone.
And like, my hair is fine and soft, so if I put something in my hair, if I leave braids in too long or whatever, my edges will start to looking a little thin. But then you got to give it a break, put the little do grow, a little coconut oil on it, give it a little break, and they be right back. So how you ain't got no edges at all?
Right back. Let's not edge shame, because I think all Black folks, all us folks in the culture, Black folks gonna spend some money on their hair. Some of us
That's
can't
what I'm
spend as
saying.
much, but we gonna spend some money on some hair and some clothes.
No, somebody with no edges, y'all.
Right.
We
He
gonna
talking
spend
about
money on some
no
clothes.
edges.
audience.
Speaking of clothes and fits, did anybody catch the Met Gala clips, or did they watch it?
Yeah. The Met Gala is always talk about an evening that is the culture, right? And goes back to what you were saying earlier, Doug, with how I think that blackness just and what we bring to the table, our sauce, our seasonings, our flavor, just bring to culture because it was everywhere. I thought the Met Gala was well done this year. Uh, Immediate losers though were Cardi B. She looked like Frankenstein,
Oh,
and I don't know
no.
if she was trying to be the bride of Frankenstein.
She said she didn't have the pedestal to stand up on it to really like give the dress what visually what it was supposed to give because they wouldn't let her have it on the red carpet.
It ain't anything.
It was
It,
giving Marge Simpson.
it gave Marge, and I
Yeah.
thought Bride of Frankenstein because I don't know if they've officially divorced or they are. I know they're separated, or were separated when she
Oh, for
wants to
real?
be. They on and off. I mean, clearly he is the person she's in love with, and you don't get to choose who you love. And she has kids with him, so that was
You can choose, but that's a
I mean,
conversation
you
for
don't
another
you
day.
don't get to choose maybe who you love, but you get to choose how you are loved and what you accept and don't accept.
well.
But
She doesn't accept and has said she doesn't accept the cheating, but he continues to do it, and she continues to stay with him. So I don't know where they are in their relationship. I just know she lost the gala
Mhm.
this time around.
I liked her nails.
She was immediate no for me.
I mean, an immediate no for me was Zoe Zaldana.
correct.
Girl,
I loved it.
no,
What?
but it wasn't on theme. It looked like she was going to the beach.
You loved her outfit?
Oh, no. I was thinking of Zendaya. Sorry.
No.
Sorry,
Zendaya
Zoe.
killed it.
Sorry.
I'm talking about Zoe with the damn Chloe belt on.
Yeah,
and
she
them
was
boots.
she was going to I think she had just walked off the PTA meeting with her kids. That's what
Oh
she
my
was.
god!
She literally went and just dropped them off at she had just picked them up from school and was like, let me just swing through here real quick because there was no way her stylist
Came up
and
with that.
yeah, and a lot of times these it's more about the stylist, and that's
Yeah, it is.
why Zendaya won is because they tried to run Law up out of the whole scene. I mean, the things that they were saying about Law, and I could imagine in fashion there is a sense of cattiness that just happens. It's fashion. I mean, I just you would have a little bit of that expectation, but I think it's more about a stylist, and I don't think Zoe had a stylist or her stylist was booked. Somebody. So that's what makes me believe she had just dropped her kids off and was like, "Let me go around there real quick and see by these people." And she has such a face card that at the end of the day, she's so beautiful. Like it looked terrible on film, but I bet in person, like her face is just gorgeous. And at the end of the day, like I would bet that she was like, my face card don't swipe, so let's go.
It's a no.
She could have stayed home.
I'm definitely like scrolling through the photos of, I guess, the most popular fits in the Met Gala. Obviously, that's not really my thing. And it just looked like Zoe don't even know like what the theme was.
No, she didn't.
Like they didn't she bought a like a resale ticket from like StubHub or something. And she copped it on the way there. Like I'm confused.
Like
Nah.
what?
Mm-mm.
And you know what? That's a critique I have of the Met Gala in general. I feel like a lot of celebrities don't even care about the theme. They just be like, I'm gonna just show up and be cute, and that's it. And it's like, but that's the whole point of the Met Gala is the theme.
You gonna be
Um,
cute, or you trying to put on the most ridiculous thing that you could find because you know
Right.
the good clicks?
yeah, but I think she had to show up because they say, and this is what I'm saying is Anna Wintour, the invitations, it's invitation only. So
Yeah, you get
yeah,
invited.
you
Not
get
everybody.
invited. Yeah,
Yeah, you
everybody
have to
doesn't
show up.
go. So I think she
Mhm.
had to show up. So I think she was like, oh, the twins, because I think Zoe got twins. The twins, or she got two kids. The twins was
She
like,
do. They're twins. Mhm.
yeah, she was like, the twins got math homework.
Mm-mm.
Let me just show up. Cause life is it is May 2024. And I am fearful of what the rest of this year is gonna bring. Like it's been on everybody's head. And I just feel like that's what she gave. Like, I ain't got time for this, but if I don't show up, Anna gonna have some words. And I think that's why she was really there. A bigger winner, other than Zendaya was the little waterfall girl. Tyler, what's her name? Tyler?
With the sand on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is the new Cinderella uh of she's giving me a younger version of Victoria or Victoria Monet. She's giving me like a younger version of her. Like
Is it really on theme though? Garden of
people,
Time and Sand?
well, you have to take again it's back to the stylist and the designer. I think why her um her gown one was it was custom uh uh ball I'm gonna say it wrong, y'all.
She was like painted with the sand. Like she had to physically
Yeah.
be like
It was
this is
casted on her.
Yeah, it was
And
casted. Yeah.
and
Crazy.
and Oliver Paul Ballman, I think it's Balmani. I don't know, y'all. I'm saying it correctly, but he is
Of course.
the director of that house, and he showed up with braids, looking like a modern day Pharaoh Cleopatra in one, because he has a beautiful face card as well. And so I think it was more about the actual construction of the gown more than anything. Because every year there's a gown or something that does something, right? Like one year there was the Cinderella gown that changed colors when the fairy godmother, like the designer had like a wand or something, and then she twirled and like it changed colors. So I think that's why she was the bigger winner than Zendaya.
It's definitely creative.
Just because, and then they cut it. I think towards at some point in the evening, they made that gown into a mini skirt. They
Oh,
cut
nice.
it. Yeah. So,
Really?
yeah,
I
they
didn't
did.
know that.
Yep.
Wow.
They cut
Well,
it.
speaking of cultural appropriation and terrible and damaged looking hair, your girl Kim was looking crazy to me with that bleach blonde hair, looking like it's gonna fall out, and her 2-inch waist. Why, girl? We know you can't breathe. Why? And what did that have to do with
Kim.
the Garden of Time?
I don't know.
Kim. In case our viewers, listeners don't know. Kardashian?
Kardashian
Yeah.
just, they are
Mm.
giving, I don't, in the
Washed
only,
out, overrated.
no, because they're still big in the business. They're big enough in the business where they're still making money, right? And so I don't really I think what's been interesting about her career most lately is that she's less entertaining without men being with her, like, or who she's dating, or like she really is. And she's
But
been
that's
wearing,
how she started. She
yeah,
started her, that's like how we got to know her, because she was with a man in a video that
yeah,
got leaked,
it's giving
allegedly.
it's giving boring because she has she was at courtside with North for the NBA one of their kickoff games, which I think is incredible. But also people don't realize that now she is a part of the brand. Skims is, the official sponsor of both the NBA and the WNBA. And so, to some degree, she's there because of business, but like her hair, like you said, twin, that very bleachy
It's not
look,
giving.
it's not.
Was this her hair? Like her
It's
actual natural hair?
it
It wasn't a
looks
wig
like
or
her
nothing?
natural
Like
hair.
if it's not,
Yeah,
that's even worse.
yeah. If it's a wig, that's a terrible wig.
Let me pull up
Um,
this picture.
Please look, please. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
yeah, because even if you look at her with North, it's the same color. So I think it's her hair. But yeah, she wasn't giving, and I don't like to spend too much time on the
Yeah, we
Kardashians.
can move on from that. I just had to.
Yeah, she but it goes back to when you bleaching your hair, you either need to keep it short and cut and
Correct.
healthy, or keep it, if you're gonna wear it long, get a wig, or
Correct.
keep it healthy, which requires a lot of resources financially, to maintain that healthy, luxurious hair. And so, yeah, shout out to the Met Gala though. I thought it was a good evening, for the good folks. Male wise,
I feel like male wise, this was a flop and a yes. Chris Hemsworth. Now he ain't have on nothing but a tan suit showing his chest, which you could have tried harder. But also, that man is so fine that he could have showed up in a sheet and that would have been like, yes, 5 stars. 5 stars. Okay, I'm done.
Interesting. I actually didn't see Kim's outfit, but y'all said she had bleach blonde.
I put it in the chat. I put a picture in the chat.
Oh, my bad. But did she have a badly built butch body?
Bruh.
Did
to
they get it
clarify,
popping in the House of Representatives or nah? Come back of the week.
It definitely looked better. Well, I don't know if it looked better. It was giving Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was.
Marjorie, let's make sure we have, for the readers and the listeners, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think your fake eyelashes are messing up. AOC, a brown woman. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why don't you debate me? AOC. I think that's going to be self-evident. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, you don't have enough intelligence.
Oh, I forgot she said that. But I forgot she was even still in Congress.
Well, she is representative of a district in the state of Florida, and more.
Oh, that makes a lot
Georgia.
of sense.
Georgia. She's in Georgia.
You sure?
Is she? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
she's
gonna
a
give
Georgia
her
representative.
Of who?
give her to y'all. Okay.
But I think she's just there to troll.
Yeah.
I don't know what
agree.
else she's good for, what she does. I just don't know. She's just there to talk and distract.
Distract.
I don't think so. I think, oh, you're absolutely right. She is the representative of, so that's y'all folks, of the 14th district in Georgia. And I'm going to disagree. I think what Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress, that their behavior and what they do is a very direct representation of a lot of people in America. And let's continue, because what's happening in this sequence is they're in a Senate committee, and it's probably in the evening at this point. So for listeners, the taxpaying
Oh yeah, it
dollars
was
that
10:30 p.m.
yeah, the tax dollars that they take from us every month, or every paycheck, or anytime we get paid, it goes to your local representative. And so they usually work weird hours like this when they're on a committee. So it's late. And, Senator Jasmine Crockett was reading trying to find out why was Marjorie Taylor Greene asking about another senator on this committee's head or somebody working in an office of like a banking place, like a corporate place. And so Jasmine is like, why are you even asking it? Again, it's late. And she's just, what does that have anything to do with relevant to this committee? The issue that happens here is James Croner, who is the chair of the committee. He tries to dead it where he says, after she says to AOC, you don't have enough intelligence, James Croner says, Ms. Green, do you agree to unanimously consent to strike your words? Because remember, everything that they say is recorded. So Madry then doubles down and says, yes, I'll strike my words, but I'm not apologizing. So you meant what you said, but there is also a level of decorum that each senator or any person of the committee, which are mostly senators, have to have or exhibit. For example, post this, Senator Jamie Ruskin has been said that a lot of members at that point had been drinking. Like they probably went to dinner and then they went back to the meeting. It's very normal.
What you mean drinking? Like on the job?
Well,
That's
I
what
It's
just want to.
10:30, so they probably
I just
went in.
want
Oh, go
to
ahead.
let me clear up with just a couple things. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was actually asking or making statements about the judge in Trump's criminal trial in New York, the judge's daughter. What that has to do with the House of Representatives, I have no clue. The meeting was originally scheduled for 10 a.m. and it was moved to 10:30 p.m. because basically 5 or 6 members of this specific committee wanted to go attend Trump's trial in New York. So they went to his trial all day, and this meeting had to be moved to 10:30. So
So they was
everybody's probably
accommodating the
tired,
Trump
whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
Also, research team, it's not strange for people on Capitol Hill to be drinking in their office or have a dinner meeting, or that's kind of normal.
Right, that's norm. But I mean, like you drinking and then coming back to work
Yes.
to decide on things.
Yeah.
To decide on things.
People at my job used to keep, when I didn't even work, when I worked in DC, people at my job used to keep little liquor bottles just at the desk. And we would go get drunk and sometimes come back if we still had, some on-call work to do or whatever. Like that don't sound far-fetched to me. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that what we saw that took place was what is continually to permeate through American politics is what is facts, what's truth, what's fiction, what is what we are seeing as a visual, or what is, a passive aggressiveness towards something. And so when Marjorie is doing this, she knows she's intently antagonizing another senator, which you can't do because of Senate decorum. And even the fact that Raskin later says, oh, people might have been drinking, it's like it still doesn't make the behavior excusable. So when James Cromer kind of tries to dead it by simply saying, do you agree to an anonymous consent to strike your words? And she's basically like, yeah, you can strike them, but I meant what I said. It gives a little bit more weight to what Senator Jasmine Crockett then says. I'm just curious to better understand your ruling. She's talking to Senator Comer. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's beach, blonde, bad build, butch body, ... that would not be engaging in personalities, correct? Senator
I
Cromer?
thought that was genius of her.
On the
Swift
fly.
with it too.
On the fly.
So swift.
Chairman Cromer says, a what now?
You heard what she said.
He
And-
might
and-
have not, because he has
did.
2 hearing aids, and he said like he legit may have not.
Well, if
If
that
he
was the
did-
case, he should have said, I got
heard
2
it.
hearing aids for everything that they said that night.
Exactly. You heard it.
Exactly. And so I think that's why it's easy for us to walk down what actually was said and what transpired and what is interpretation of, just where American politics are today, because clearly there's this muddiness that's happening. And Senator Crockett basically just said, okay, but I'm gonna show you better than I'm gonna tell you. And she gives us a perfect example of what it would mean. And then what transpired after was probably the most disappointing part of the entire evening, which was, how many times do Black women have to stand up for themselves? And then because they do, they're seen as being aggressive.
Every time. And I think that's why I feel like Marjorie is a troll planted in Congress to rile up the left, or people who gonna be emotional and then just sit back and play the victim like white women do. And I don't like that. But I also like that Jasmine stood up for herself, because clearly nobody else in the room was gonna say nothing. And I have a side note. When will white people learn not to start a roasting session with Black people? Really, lady?
Talk about it.
Fake eyelashes, that's all you got? Come on, bro. And you look like that? Come on. And that was on the fly. What if she had time to really drag this for film?
That's what I'm saying. She was so swift. I said,
Why, girl?
I really couldn't believe she even tried it, because Black women pretty much have the swiftest tongue on the planet. So like, I couldn't believe she tried to say that.
But she said what she said. That's what lands me on why Senator Crockett had to go for her the way she had to, because, oh, you said what you said? Girl, let me tell you something better. Let me give you.
This week clarifying what's allowed to be said.
What exactly? Because the truth is, what she said also was very transcendent upon races. And I have no offense to anyone that does CrossFit, but that's exactly what they look like.
They do be looking like that. They do. Girl, where is your skincare routine, girl?
Skincare, hair care, and again, that's why I believe that she really is a representation of a large group of women, or base of Americans, that's how they are. They, as soon as you say something to them, or they say something to you and you clarify them, it's a bunch of, oh, well, you're angry and you're argumentative. And it's like, why did it even take Senator Crockett to say such a thing? Why did she have to say that? Because it's okay for her to do it, but I can't do it. And it just goes back to the state of where we are in American politics, which is, there are muddy lines. We have someone running for president right now who could likely win. Former president. In November. So, and that's a reality. And this person caused an insurrection and has done a numerous of things, ruined many people's lives, and a lot of that is based on, I can do it, but you can't do it. Like, former President Trump could pay $750 on his taxes, but we can't.
That's the most.
You know what was crazy about this little tiff in the with the representatives? I'm like, to me, it kind of humanized them a little bit, because it's like they in there cracking jokes on each other like regular folks do. Like, I kind of have a feeling like they just went in the back when it was done and they just got it rocking, like they was back there fighting or something.
I know, for real. It did make them feel really normal. I think somebody at the end said it's like an episode of Jerry Springer. But also, what's wrong with fake lashes, Marjorie?
I don't think.
How was that even an insult?
I think she was talking. So, Senator James Crockett later said that people in Margie's, political realm, they've been talking about her blackness for years. Because she's also, so Jasmine has a reputation of being pro embodiment of when Michelle Obama said we go high, that ain't Jasmine Crockett.
No,
Jasmine
no.
gives it all the way through and through. Like you said earlier, the Black woman with that quick tongue. She got a grandma somewhere right now praying for her, and she know how to make a really good pot of greens and macaroni and cheese. She is not Keisha, not y'all Keisha who played herself trying to make that macaroni and cheese that one Christmas. That's not what Jasmine is giving. She's giving, I'm a Black woman through and through, and there's nobody going to, um, disseminate or take away from my character. And I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to become what you guys want me to become, quote unquote, looks wise in Congress. So I think that's where the whole eyelash thing came from. Is we've talked about the lash problem here on the show, I believe previously, but like women been wearing eyelashes for years. I mean, I wear lashes. I've done extensions before, and they're very natural beauty enhancement. Um, that's why she makes a point to bring out the bleach blonde of Marjorie, because that's not her real color. That's not the color of her hair. You can tell it's damaged through the bleaching. And so, and that's what color is. Color is a natural beauty enhancing technique that women use. And she really was trying to call her ghetto. And that's what Jasmine knew. Jasmine knew, Senator Crockett knew that's what she was alluding to, because for
She did
years.
a little hand thing too, as if showing like fluttering eyelashes. Girl, white women wear fake eyelashes too. What are we doing?
I mean,
she was definitely calling her ghetto, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, she knows her audience.
Yeah.
She knows her audience, but she said numerous of times she is in Congress because the people where she comes from, let's see where that district is, research team. Where she comes from
is from Milledgeville,
I think
Georgia.
It's North Georgia somewhere, ain't it?
They love her. That where she gets her votes, her constituents, they love her. That's why she walk around talking, acting, showing out X, Y, Z like that.
Well,
and will get reelected.
She will, because them southern Georgia, this is why I got to get out of Georgia. Them people in southern Georgia, and really anywhere besides Atlanta, they be like that. They believe that stuff. They love her,
Based on a quick look, it looks like Georgia's 14th congressional district is 77.5% white.
In Rome, Georgia. So
it's 8.9% Black, and it looks like it's west of Marietta and goes all the way up to North Georgia, right on the Georgia line of Chattanooga, the city. So it goes up through Rome, that whole little corner over there. And that's something that's a bigger conversation around representation of American politics. Is you're seeing where a state like Georgia, who has always been considerably red, with the emerging larger cities like Atlanta, that votes blue, you are seeing now on the outskirts this increasingly growing number of kind of holding your ground type mentality. And that's why she's the way she acts, because they believe, quotations, they believe that we're trying to steal something from them, or we're trying to like this is life or death for them, and that's why she act that way. So shout out to every, and I mean this seriously. Shout out to every bleach, blonde, bad, built, butch body in the world. We see you.
Bro, I
We
can't.
hear
I
you.
can't.
We hear you.
I actually don't see them, but go ahead.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back. So, still wrapping up the latest and greatest. Y'all know I'm a big fantasy, fiction, Game of Thrones, trilogies, all that. So I love a good war.
Same.
Love a great war. I think my favorite war most recently has been in Shogun. Fantastic, well done by FX, where they're showing early relationships between the samurai and the Portuguese. Very, very early stage, but really highlighting Japanese culture, samurai culture, in the civil, the civilizations that were there and the civil wars that they had prior to European powers in their infiltration. And so I love a good war. And there are a lot of battles out there. Right now we got Chris Brown and Quavo, Shannon Sharp and Shaq. Yeah. Clearly, there's great wars going on in the Senate committees where bleach, blonde, bad, built, butch bodies are being drugged. And yeah, no better dragging is done with no violence, actual violence, is between rappers and hip hop.
Well, they did shoot up Drake's house.
He
I was gonna
said,
say, yeah.
he said,
What'd he say?
he said in his songs, people like to click up, and he has security. And apparently the shootings have actually caused issues for him in Toronto because apparently, based on the Canadian government, Drake had asked for special like hedging for his home, because apparently he kind of does like what Chris Brown does. Like, everybody knows where Chris Brown lives. Apparently, you could just go drive up to his house, and it's the same with Drake. And so it'll be interesting because apparently, yeah, that where he lives had actual crime just happening. And that's because, I mean, the economy is crazy. We're feeling it in America, but it is worldwide. Like, that robbing and snatching it's gonna be an interesting rest of the year. And so it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. And I would like to really put the disclaimer out that those things were non-related. We have no proof, and definitely do not want to put out any narratives around actual violence being taken place. I think there is a very healthy way to dialogue in debating, and I think there's no better way to debate than in music. And so I thought the whole, who won the Great War, and people think Kendrick has, or some people think Drake has. Some people have come out and said that a lot of people always disliked Drake, and this was just something that was a projection or a reflection of what the industry always felt. And so I said that as someone who studies the art of war, I thought I would take a bigger takeaway and say no one won. That's just me.
I am going to go out on a ledge. I had a take last pod saying Drake was getting Kendrick out of here. I was wrong. I'm taking it back.
Not the resident Drake fan.
The Drake.
I
That's
take it back. I take it back, and not and it, you can. I think you can look at this battle from a bunch of different ways. I don't think Drake lost as bad as people make it out to be. I think there's just a lot of people against him probably, but he did in fact lose. And I actually don't think it's over yet. So
Wait, now what made you change your opinion, Doug?
I think lyrically Kendrick outmatched him, and I think he been planning this for a long time is what I think. I think we covered that last pod. But personally, I think Drake raps better. I think his flows are better. So I think his songs are better, but I think lyrically Kendrick was better. And if we going off battle, I think Kendrick won just with that.
Again, Twain, you're a big fantasy person too. Did you feel like this was a battle of good and evil? The rightful heir to the throne?
I honestly, as a fan of both, well, I don't know if I'm really much of a Drake fan anymore after that concert, but I'm not a not fan. I feel like Kendrick highlighted a lot of things about Drake that I can't say the culture, but I was kind of feeling, and he kind of brought it to the forefront, and it's like, he's not wrong. And I guess I was listening to some old Drake the other day because I'm like, let me see how I really feel. I think last episode I said I don't know who I feel like is better lyrically. I agree with what Dub said. I do think Drake makes better songs per se, but I think lyrically, I think Kendrick got Drake the out of here, bro. I think so.
I'd like to say again, my stance is nobody won.
Why do you say nobody won though? You feel like they were
the people won, the culture won. Look at that.
I feel I feel like the culture won because we have been wanting good music. Anything that I want more than anything is quality music, quality. And we had previously discussed on For All My Dogs and Lover Boy, Certified Lover Boy. I mean, most of the most recent things that Drake had put out, and he oversaturates the market a bit, was we were kind of questioning the things he was says, and he has questionable behaviors. But I do love that it really brought back hating. And I love like the way they brought back hating, because when I say I had forgotten, and I had just watched The Greatest Night in Hollywood or whatever with Michael Jackson creating that song. But I forgot about Mike and Prince beefing forever. Them boys did not.
I had forgot about that too.
They did not. And we're talking about the pinnacle of Black music, Black artistry. And them two was like,
I forgot about that too.
You know, and so
yeah, they beefing in the afterlife. I doubt they done
no,
did
for
it
real. Yeah.
They
still in the ancestral plane talking cash. Like they still don't, and so I love that it resurrected a sense of healthy hating, because the other thing that's interesting is that you just don't mess with everybody. And I think that's why it ends with they not like us, because they is speaking to what Dub is saying. Like, one, Drake is Canadian. We really be forgetting that. He is not American. And if you're choosing who is the representation of any type of culture, Americans are just ridiculous in that way, where we're like, well, it's always going to be America on top.
Yeah.
And then Drake doesn't have, and we talked about this at the top of the show, any real place in Toronto that he can call that's his national identity. Like, look at 21 Savage. 21 took his behind all the way over to England and created his latest album, right? And was able to appropriate himself into Black culture there. And that's what Drake didn't have.
Yeah.
Where he could call on, and I think who he would have been Atlanta. That would have been the closest thing. And I love that take where Kendrick also brought to the forefront that Atlanta is the mecca of Black culture.
Period.
They are the ones. That city, just what that city does. I'm glad, RIP to Rico Wade. Like, I hate that he had just passed on when all this was happening. But
Rest
I'm
in
like,
peace.
Atlanta is the mecca of Black culture. It is the mecca. There's no other place that can even if we're talking about claiming culture, who's the one putting it out? It's Atlanta. Period.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And so for Kendrick, identify, that's where we all get the sauce from. That's where we get all the juice from. And then say, and on top of that, I don't be in my city. Let me show you what my city do. And he got them. They are going to crip rock themselves to death this summer. They are going to barbecue, be on jet skis. They say the way that song has electrified, and I'm a big Cali lover. Twins a big Cali lover. Research team is a big Cali lover. I don't know how much you get out there, Dub, but them Cali boys, this is like the biggest thing they've had in a long
They super
time.
hype. Super hype.
And then they got the best weed, out in California. So that just makes it even worse, because they what did he say? It's even corny to rap. Get this jabroni. He called him a jabroni.
Took it back to wrestling. That was crazy.
And that's a good point. Like, we don't see Drake just in his hood chilling ever. Like,
Drake is the biggest star in the world. Him and Taylor. He can't just. He don't even have a hood.
I was gonna say, I don't
start
think
there.
he has a wheelchair. He don't have no.
Yeah.
But to be fair to Drake, I know we talking about the cultural appropriation and him being from Toronto, but I mean, he's rapped and made songs about him spending his summers with his dad in Memphis. He got Black ass cousins. We've seen photos of him with his family before. So it ain't like he was just in Toronto exclusively. His parents weren't together.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess I've always kind of felt like, it's always kind of felt to me like, what is Drake's identity?
And that's what Kendrick ripped off. He took, he ripped it off and was like, show us. And so, I would conclude with thinking that I do think that I just love the revisitation of hating. I thought, because it had almost seemed bad because you're a hater. It's like, if you're hating on the right things, or you have, healthy debate, or you have a healthy dislike of, what this person does, like, it ain't always got to be all kumbaya.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's what this brought up, because it's going to really talk to more of what you were saying earlier, Twin, about how do we protect if culture doesn't belong to Black people, but Black people are the those who keep culture alive. We have to protect what it means to be, what is Blackness? What does that mean to Americans? What does that mean culturally from a global perspective? And of all of us in the diaspora, we're all still very much closely not as far removed as we would like to believe from the atrocities of slavery. And that was probably, I just felt in my gut the minute that Drake even brought that into the mix. I was like, oh man, you now you also don't got no educated Black men around you, because somebody would have heard that and would be like, bro, take that out.
Take that out.
Take that out, because we're not that far removed from it. And we see that as laws in America, again, speaks to the American perspective, where we just had Roe v. Wade. That's gone. You cannot go legally go get an abortion in most states in America right now. So we have issues that come from the ideologies of slavery that are permeated in society and are being actively pursued by a great number of American population. And so, and that's what Kendrick was doing, was speaking to a greater intellectual group that heard him and really heard him. And that's what Pac was. Pac wasn't talking about,
Speak on it.
he was one of the most intellectual, prophetic voices that we will ever hear. We have not just even, and that's what he really was trying to say. We haven't even had someone even close to Pac since Pac died.
I must agree.
I mean, he was so not only understanding of his Black intellectualism, but also just his cultural identity, his national identity, his racial identity. Like, I'm going to be a Black, and I'm going to be Black true to where I'm from, my hood, my set. I'm not going to change for y'all. And he went to have this great documentary. Is it on FX or Hulu? That, you really go back to when Pop was in high school, and he went to the white schools. He was in Cali. I think that's what the biggest takeaway is. I hope it's over in context of Drake can go back to making, and that's the other thing that I think Kendrick highlighted too, is we actually like the thoughtful, intellectual Drake speaking on his feelings, what it made him feel to want a girl and couldn't get her, or want this, or I don't know, feelings of home and wanting to be home. I don't know.
Not to introduce any Pac slander, but didn't he assume a new identity when he moved to California?
Who?
Tupac.
We will not.
He from New York. He moved to California and assumed a gang lifestyle, but he wasn't a gang member.
I will not take
But
part.
how long was he in New York though?
His whole life.
He kind of had a.
He moved. He left New York when he was like 19 or 20.
He had a. No, he went to high school in Cali. He definitely went to high school in Cali. So, I'm telling you, that's a fact. Cite me or fight me. I'm telling you, that's a fact.
Okay.
But yeah, I won't ever participate in Pac slander. So with that said, let's just go ahead and get into keeping it on the West Coast. Swahili. Every time I see her name, I'd be like, why she just didn't want to be called Sweetie?
I know.
I like Sweetie, but Swahili.
Wait, Sawidi.
Sawiti.
Sweetie got a new song and video.
Thank you.
Yeah, her name.
And
yeah. What do y'all feel about it?
I saw this last night, so I just threw it on here. I enjoyed it. I feel like Sweetie be getting a lot of slander, like her music is trash. But
who be slandering
people
Sweetie?
People be saying it. And I think it's because they expect her to be like a formidable female rapper when I feel like she's just making fun songs and having a good time. I just wanted to say shout out to Sweetie because she killed that choreo in the video. And I think it's a fun song. I think it's gonna be a summer bop. So if y'all ain't seen it, I think it's called 90. I enjoyed it. What y'all think? Did y'all?
Yeah, that's how you say it. It is.
Yeah, Nani. I gave it a quick look. She look like a Barbie. She's like the
Yeah.
Malibu. That's how I feel. I feel like she gives the black Barbie of Cali. She gives me She gives me black Malibu Barbie. She always
Yes.
has.
I would agree. And speaking of super fine women that could get it, congratulations to Angel Reese. Woo!
The Bayou Barbie. Yeah,
Woo!
I love that. You know, they did a lot of coverage on her amidst the Caitlin Clark coverage, and I really enjoyed that. We got to know more about how she and her brother both will be graduating with bachelor's degrees at their respective universities this year. So congratulations again back to Black mothers, Black motherhood, Black nurturing, Black women who stand in the paint as single mothers to raise these babies. So I think that's just a real testament to how important it is to not only be famous but also take care of the things that are important as Black people, being educated. You know, she had a very successful career at LSU after winning a national championship, being in championship play for the duration of her time at LSU. And you know, for those who aren't familiar with, you know, her, and you should be if not, take some time to look up her story. But to basically say, nah, this thing in Baltimore, this ain't working. I gotta find a way. You know, it goes back to the ingenuity of, you know, that's the creativeness that comes when we talk about black women, Black mothers that raise these children. Like, it don't always look like the way it's supposed to look. And for her to pivot and turn it into gold, Angel would have just been another girl that we knew that was working at, and this is real. Like, she could have been the next girl we saw working in Target, or we saw working in McDonald's. And I'm saying that in a way to really elevate what do you gain? What is the success that you can have by means of education and sports, right? How do you really capitalize on these things? Then even when you go into music, these areas of where you can turn and change your life into a profit. Because one thing she mentioned in one of the coverage things I said is like, there is no way her mama was gonna be able to get her even a student loan. You know, it was interesting to hear her really talk about the landing page of like, and I got my degree. What? I love it.
All I know is she fine. That big tall stallion could get it. Okay.
Who?
Is that the consensus?
But that's my consensus.
I
She could get it.
I meant to mention this earlier. I didn't really like her Met Gala look. It looked, but she got invited. And so I felt like she had to do something risque because that would ensure then she would further get more invitations, I believe. Because what's the other blonde girl? The one that went to LA. She's like the perfect look for LA too.
Cameron Brink.
Yeah. Now she is like, whew, yeah, I like her a lot. That's a tall white women are usually not that pretty. And that one,
No, they're not.
yeah, she looks like she's beautiful. And so, yeah, shout out to Angel. We love you. I can't wait to get my jersey number 5. And I'm just waiting because apparently the women can make the teams, but they can get kicked off the teams too. I don't really know too much about NBA.
Me neither.
but apparently, you know, it's a thing. And then Caitlyn, I'm glad people. I think when the great Don Coach Stanley said what Caitlyn Clark is doing for the sport is needs to just be accepted. I think everybody kind of walked away from that energy, and I love it because I'm not a big Caitlyn fan. I think she's a great player, but I thought that it was nice that everyone kind of backed away and just started focusing on the girls. And but also a question to each of you: how much do y'all think that did it take this to happen for the WNBA to start putting money and backing these teams?
I think it was a
I,
combination of things. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
oh yeah, we were probably gonna say the same thing. I think it did take this. The WNBA wasn't exciting, but if they could take the excitement that this last past college season had and transition that into the WNBA, like I don't care how it happens, like as long as it happened, maybe. So what? It took 30 years.
Yeah.
It happened eventually. I mean, everything gonna take time.
Yeah, and for it to overshadow, I think you give a great point. For it to overshadow, like to me, I got my basketball feel. Have you been watching the playoffs? I haven't watched no playoff games, and I never miss the playoffs. Never
I've
with
been
basketball.
watching. I'm rooting for them Timberwolves. That boy Ant-Man, rooting for him
Okay,
from Atlanta.
okay. Who's in it? I don't. Who's?
The teams left are Dallas. They just sealed the Western Conference Finals. We'll know that the ending of Nuggets Timberwolves tonight. Their game 7. That'll complete the Western Conference. Eastern Conference, the Knicks and Pacers are going to game 7, and Boston beat who'd Boston beat?
Oh, did they beat?
Boston beat the Cavs, so
Cavs,
Boston's going to
yeah.
the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I did hear the rumblings about Boston. As a Heat fan, we hate them, but I do like it for the coach. People have a quick uh, memory lapses of how the coach now took on the team after the foolishness of that man that cheated on Nia Long. And I just love that he's found success there, and they are still steamrolling as an organization. Because sometimes when you take leadership out like that, especially when it's something of a personal nature, it can sometimes translate bad to the team. But luckily here, team culture prevailed, and I think it's kind of cool. You said the Knicks are still in it, right?
Yeah, they're going to, well, at the time of this recording, they'll be going to game 7 with the Pacers.
Yeah, I still hate the Knicks, but why not?
Yeah, early 2000s, late 90s, Knicks Heat beef, everlasting for sure. I will say, I'm cool with the, just to bring it back to the WNBA real quick. I'm cool with the Caitlin Clark stimmy. I mean, she's every city they play in, they sell out. And now the women have, their chartered flights, which they should have been had. And
Hello.
the way this will translate is probably in a couple years where they actually get pay increases, because I'm sure everybody saw what Caitlin Clark was going to make in her first year just as salary, and they were like, "What? We didn't know this is what they made."
Oh, I know.
It's like them having regular jobs at,
Yeah, you
I
might
don't
as
know.
well work for UPS.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I
Right.
think UPS people make more money than that.
That's what
That's
somebody.
That's
but
what they
Yeah,
say.
that's what they were saying. But
Yeah.
I found that out a few years ago because my friend that I used to go to the gym with used to be in a WNBA, and she was telling me how they didn't make shit and would be right on Delta in the main cabin with everybody else.
Yeah. So what a lot of WNBA
That's
NBA
crazy.
players were doing was, in the off season they go play in Russia and Italy and overseas, and they actually made more
Yeah.
money over there just to supplement their income here.
Well, that's
Oh, like
why.
more than basketball, like the movie. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's how Brittany got stuck
that's
over
why
there.
she got stuck over there, and
Yep.
I think that's. I'm glad you brought that up because it took a Black woman being arrested over there, and I mean, Brittany, for the most part, she might have always been, more in the masculine, but Brittany is like all masculine now. And I think that's because prison over there hardened her. Like you can tell she is more, and like I'm not, and she's beautiful. And I'm not saying like this as in, as a, uh, anyone in the community, she was either more masculine or feminine. I'm saying you see the difference of pre being arrested and post. And I think that that's interesting that you say that because we find ourselves so many times trying to protect women, Black women, especially after the fact. And had they been paying, Brittany was one of the most celebrated basketball players of her time. Like she's up there with the rest of the people we think of, like Candace Parker. Shout out to her. I'm so glad she's getting her flowers and she's gonna be able to retire, and she's taking on the presidency in an executive role. Because at the end of the day, there is marketability in the. I think that's what I'm saying. I just think it was always kind of exciting, but if you couldn't have the funds or the money or the resources to kind of put something behind it, I mean, that's like if you don't invest in it, you've said it before, Twin. It takes money to make money. If you don't invest in it, like, and that was a big culture shock, I think, for a lot of the women, because you had a lot of these girls that play at big schools like Tennessee, LSU. They come from big schools, and yeah, they used to share the weight rooms and stuff with the football team, but for the most part, they understood that there is a marketability in sports.
I just
I
want to
have
say,
some. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to change the subject.
Oh, I just got two things. I just been noticing the rest of the league's acceptance of Caitlin Clark. I'm sure they're appreciative. Well, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, this new crop of young talent. I'm sure they're appreciative, but they giving Caitlin Clark hell. They whooping her ass on the court.
Oh yeah.
They setting screens and picks. She bust falling. They it's looking crazy out there. She looks so small too. That's so wild.
I know, right? Like she looked like a giant in college, but I heard she holding her own.
Yeah, she's doing all right, but I guess they thought she was gonna come in and just start setting records and blah blah blah. But nah, you still legit. Like you come on, you still a rookie.
What you got, Twin?
I see the before and after of Brittany Griner.
I told you.
Oh, I didn't even notice the difference.
Yes.
My girl was in that Russian prison going through it.
Amen.
I don't mean to cut the sports talk off, but hot off the press.
Yeah.
Sean Diddy Combs apologizes for assaulting Cassie in 2016 video.
Oh, he apologized?
Yeah,
I just got the pop-up just now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw it at the top of the podcast. They was rumbling about it, but I didn't want to jump to it. But as God does and as God wills, as we're talking about Black women and protecting them, and we've talked about Diddy before. I don't even want to say his name no more because he a real fan. And not the freaky, but the other F word. Like the levels to this just plain old, and I'm just giving quick thoughts as everyone brings up his video.
One moment. What other F word? Like the Florida FN F word?
I would say just drop it in the chat so we all are on the same page.
Damn.
Oh yeah,
Look,
yeah. That's
you
what I
could've
mean by
just- you
FN.
could've
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
okay.
He a fan. He a fan. He a fan. And I don't even want to say his name no more because when I say utter disgusting, disgusted, and we knew there was footage. It's almost like, cops kill black people, but until you see them on their necks, like clutching pearls. Why would Cassie, after all those years, say what she said and there not be some type of video evidence of what actually transpired and what happened? No, and it had to take it being released. So one, how do we learn to protect black women? Because the footage that was released also put Cassie in a particular situation where she had to relive the trauma. If not seeing it herself, people that know her, fans that knew her, it very much gave Tina Turner What's Love Got to Do with It, Ike style. To 2000s, the 2000s version. That's what it gave, 20th century version.
I feel like he shouldn't have said nothing. This kind of makes it worse for me. Like,
well, I wanted to give research team and Doug the time to since this is breaking news, and I'm sure once you guys are listening to us talk, there's going to be discussions on discussions about this, because I mean, seriously though, when are we going to learn to protect black women? When?
I think for me with the breaking news, with this whole situation, one, I think it's fair to say that he has experienced some type of trauma in his life. Two, so has Cassie and all his other victims. Three, it's kind of hard. Like he done dropped a video apologizing. It's kind of hard to accept or decipher his apology, because it's just like, well, you've already been sued and settled. Now this video has been dropped, and it's just like, are you apologizing because you done got caught officially now? Like, we have the evidence to match your foolery. Like, is this really genuine at this point? Or are you just trying to do like PR and damage control? You know what I mean? So it's like, you could have saved it.
He definitely could have saved it because he done lost all his deals and stuff. Like, who you doing it for?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, are you trying to minimize the already catastrophic damage, or like, what's the point? Like, what's the point?
I think that I can hear it's like the people that still love R. Kelly and those who protect Trey Songz and those who protect other black men that harm black women, specifically black women.
Did that hit a nerve recently?
Yeah. That if I say sorry, it should be okay. That's what it's giving. That's what my immediate takeaway was like. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. My bad.
Y'all know research team loves R. Kelly, so
I was about to say the same thing. I was like, y'all can have Trey Songz, but y'all can't take Kels.
Because to me, with R. Kelly, it's not. To me, it's like all sick and all unwell people, and it's hard for me to like decipher and be like, oh, because take away all his credibility as an artist because it came from trauma. Like the songs is songing. Like I don't know what you want me to do, and I'm also not a person to be like, oh, you know what, you did this thing, it was so egregious, that's a wrap. My my thing that makes it a wrap for me is like, well, what's your intent behind all of this? Like, what is the outcome? Like, what you trying to gain out of this? And for me, I think with Diddy, he's just like apologizing because now he's caught. Like now it's just like, oh shit, I can't do nothing else. And for me with R. Kelly, it wasn't like that. It was more like, dang, you really can't, you don't almost have the capacity to decipher. And the parents that were also involved with helping him do his foolishness. So to me, it's a bit more multifaceted than it, than saying, hey, R. Kelly, you're done. Versus Diddy, bro, what?
Well,
I
think yeah.
I feel like that goes to your question, Pete. How do you protect Black women?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not just you're canceled, you're done. It's it sparks a larger conversation. Yes, you're canceled, and this is why. This is how everybody in the situation, including you, failed Black women. And this is what we need to do better. It's not just, oh well, everybody was up in this situation, and so let's just continue listening to R. Kelly because everybody was foul. How was everybody foul? Like, let's talk about that. If we just give people a pass because of their impact on the culture, then that's why I said I don't think we'll ever be protected. And I don't think that that's the same. I feel like white women are protected by white men in a way that we are not protected by
you getting that Holy Spirit
or anybody else. Like,
go ahead, preach.
Anybody, like a white man gonna come to the savior of a white woman if she cries about any goddamn thing. But we see a child molester who been a child molester for 30 years, and we just be like, oh well, everybody involved was fucked up and he made some good music, so I'm good. And that's why I feel like we will never be protected. And that's why we have to protect ourselves, Jasmine Crockett, because there is nobody out there that sees the Black woman's tears and be like, you know what? This ain't right. And we need to do something about it.
Hello.
To Dee's point,
I'm not
real
saying,
quick.
go ahead.
There were Black women complicit in R. Kelly's
Correct.
foolishness.
Just like there are white women complicit in white people foolishness, but that doesn't still make them any less protected than we are. If we're just saying, oh well, Black women are complicit, so fuck it.
No, but what I'm saying is, who y'all can't protect y'all aren't protecting yourselves.
So I think it goes back to
we need help being protected.
The protection.
We've never been protected. So how are we gonna know how to protect ourselves if no one has ever protected us?
We are speaking to the question, and I think that's what I think lands here that is appropriate for as we conclude the show today. Is that's what we're talking about, is how are we going to protect Black women? Yes, there's a level of self reflection that is needed among Black women, but we're talking largely in the context of the culture, because we see it time and time again where Black women are not protected in the culture. With an example of the Shannon Sharp and Amanda Seales interview, right? I mean, it was crazy to see how she was talking about her lived experiences, and for him to be like, you sure that's what happened?
Right. And Slim Thug came out talking about, oh well,
my bad. I'm sorry, y'all.
Now that I've seen the footage, I apologize.
Sir, what? Huh? Slim, sir.
And I like Slim, but he's an old head, and what's the old heads? And so that's what I'm saying is
disappointing.
It's disappointing that we have Black women who go through these experiences, live these experiences, and then when they have the courage to talk about it, it's like, they ain't happy.
Correct. Negating the whole experience. Well, sir, how you gonna tell me what I experienced? How you gonna tell me my feelings about this situation, and I was the one in it and you were not?
Yeah. So
and to Dub's point, And really, to everybody's point here, when you are a traumatized people who've never been protected, something has to change so that you can protect yourselves and that you feel protected by other people. And so if we just continue letting things like this slide instead of, oh, well, you know, these people were complicit. So it's like, well, we need to teach these people why being complicit was a problem and how they were complicit so that this shit doesn't happen again.
I agree with that statement. And for me, with the whole like R. Kelly situation and the Diddy situation, they're both nuanced and definitely deserve their own like discussion and platform to dissect each situation. I just think for me, it's very hard to decipher and be like, hey, they're, you know, this is their artistry and that's that, and then this is their personal life and that's that. That's like the same thing with, you know, Cosby and all these other artists who do egregious things. Like at the end of the day, they're human and people are just wilding. And to me, it's like, well, what's their intent behind all of these things and like their apologies or, you know,
Power
whatever.
and control.
Correct. But who gives them the power and who helps them continue the control for decades upon decades? I think it's a bigger like conversation when it comes to like Diddy and R. Kelly and Trey Songz and whoever else. Because to me, it's just like, for me in my mind, I can't just be like, okay, this happened, so this equals this, so I'm going to do this. It's just like, not so much. Like two things can be true. Yes, you can be an abuser. Yes, you can be a horrible person, but also you can make some very classic and authentic music. Like those two things can be true.
And maybe I feel differently because I have been the victim of abuse. So it's very difficult for me to separate the abuser from, like, there is no separate to me. Like, you're an abuser and everything you've done was produced by a fucked up person. And like you're saying, they're human. I agree, but I treat celebrities as I would treat anybody else in my life. If I realized you're a abuser and you don't deserve to be in my life, then it don't matter if you famous or not. Like, I can't with that. And I realized me and my ex got into it about this because I do feel like there's a difference between those who have been through it and those who have not. And I do feel like if you haven't personally been through abuse, it's easier for you to separate the two. But for me, when I hear someone's an abuser, that's all I hear. That's it. Like, all I can
Right.
see
That's all
is
you need.
being a
All you
ass
need to be
person,
like, I'm done.
and
I'm
I
out.
just can't be involved. Like, I don't hear the music over the abusive part. All I hear is you're an abuser, and if I continue to support you, you're gonna think it's okay to continue abusing people.
And I like to kind of wrap it up because I'm sure by the time that, again, y'all are listening to us, there are going to be so many takeaways. Maybe it's not. Maybe this will just cycle quickly through the news. But how I have now, when I think about violence against Black women in any type of shape or form, either through emotional, physical, or spiritual abuse, I really look at it from the perspective of, I try to think like, what if that was Michelle Obama? And then what if that was Barack Obama, the guy? And I know that's like that's a very high standard.
Yeah, I was about to say that's like blasphemy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But imagine it. But imagine
That's put that in the atmosphere.
That's literally how I start to think about violence against Black women and how we treasure and treat Black women. Is I really start thinking from that perspective, because the bigger question that still doesn't get solved is, what makes a Black man even feel the need to put their physical, violence on a Black woman? I mean, because the closest video I can think that that is as violent and was worse was that the football player who,
Ray
you
Rice.
know, yeah, Ray Rice, when he knocked out his wife.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Now that
And
was
you know what I'm
He was
saying?
tripping for
all
real.
this. Now that was just crazy.
He
You
was
know,
tripping.
he was tripping, you know. It's and we felt like
He
it
was
was
tripping.
even more brutal because he was an athlete, right? We felt like it was even more brutal because he was an athlete, and we knew physically, you know, he could take hits, so clearly he can give them. And I just think that that was a level of where people didn't believe that Diddy could do this is because, or that fanboy that he could do this was because, and please make sure that we bleep out his name because I'm so disgusted with him. And I say that
Said
because
bleep out his name.
please,
The
because
Giggler.
I loved the music. And
I did too. I'm very sad.
yeah,
I'm very sad about it.
I really, really love the music.
Maybe that's the disconnect. I really didn't like it like that. But go ahead.
I love the music. I love what he did for Black people. I love what he represented for the culture. And now
Same.
I cannot. There is no, and this goes out to anyone that's listening, to any person, there is no reason to physically deal with any type of violence against your own person or for you to dish that out to anyone else. And I think we can really end on that, you know, when we're thinking about shot o'clock is, you know, what's really the non-negotiables in a relationship? What are those things that if there's one thing you're gonna take a shot to that is a non-negotiable in a relationship, what is it? Because I'm a gun owner, so at this point in my life, it would take just a feather of a finger to touch me, and I think it's a healthy response to go get my weapon. So I don't know if that's really a non-negotiable because I feel like I think you mentioned it earlier, research team is like a lot of how you're loved and you're treated is based on what that person. I'm not saying that Cassie warranted to be beat down like that, but one thing that I noticed right away was she either was really still under the influence as she claimed and said, because she didn't run fast enough for me. If somebody was beating me down like that, I gotta be hauling. If this is my one getaway,
We don't know, but we don't know if she was like, drug or had some type of
that's why I said
intoxication. Like we don't know if she was under
she
certain
said she was
influences.
drugged. She said she
Oh,
was. So
okay,
that's
well,
what I'm
that's
She
saying.
did, and
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
19.
Yeah, she said she was drugs all the time. So I'm saying is if you're in a drug state and you're trying to get away, that's one of the things I noticed immediately. I was like, oh, her claims of being drugged or being often heavily drugged is true because there's no way somebody is beating you down that way. She wasn't, it was like she wasn't running away fast enough for me because.
Well, you be in shock when you be in the moment and somebody is physically assaulting you.
Well,
Sometimes
I'm going based on the claims, based on the lawsuit. The lawsuit said that at the point of when this occurred, he had been beating her ass for years. Like, and this was the
So
one
that
time
was a
where
norm for her.
so she
right,
felt like that was normal. She was
Yeah.
like,
right.
well, I'm just going back home.
Right.
But I'm saying is we're talking about non-negotiables in a relationship and physical violence isn't one of them. I don't think that's a non-negotiable because I feel like at some point now having people have experiences being abused, I don't even think that's a non-negotiable because I think that that is a clear understanding in a relationship. If
I
you're
don't think it is. Some people okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if that's a non-negotiable. Like I think it depends
For
on the
everyone.
person, and she may
Yeah.
not have been as whole and healed as she is like today.
Oh,
Like
I'm
she
not
was
talking.
young.
I want to clarify, not her. I'm saying is I'm taking a takeaway from that
Oh, people in
situation
general. Oh, okay.
is if I'm in a relationship with somebody, we should enter knowing that if you lay a finger on me, I am a gun owner, or I have knives. my immediate response is going to be to kill you. So if you dare to do that, that's what I'm saying, having dealt with abuse in the past, I'm saying is that's a non-negotiable. That's an easily non-negotiable for me in a relationship. I can think of other things that are non-negotiable, like people having kids that are under 2. That's a non-negotiable.
Well, being domestic violence is definitely a non-negotiable for me, and I've definitely had to pull a gun out on a so out there, don't try it. But let's talk about somebody who is not abusive. Mothers. We're gonna end on shot o'clock. Even though we started out a little depressed, my mother was amazing. She was the most amazing mother ever. And I want to do a shot to all the mothers out there. Dub, give us a little nice shot o'clock to the mothers.
Yeah, let's take a shot to all the mothers. They are, well, most mothers, they are the backbone of most families. I mean, they keep everybody together, they make sure everybody good. Mothers, grandmothers, aunties, whoever you got in your life, that you are and can be thankful for. I think they deserve a shot.
Shout out to the mothers. I'm taking a shot of Theraflu because I done caught a little something. But we love you, mothers. Thank you for being you. And if you're a terrible mom, fuck you.
They
Research,
exist.
P. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure they exist. They just as bad as terrible dads.
They are.
Wow. Shots for my mom as well and my Grammy Grams drinking coffee.
You know that in a 96.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, as you all know, I don't have I went to therapy for the therapist to reaffirm this. I never had that motherly attachment to anyone because I was abandoned by my mother. And so I just like to shout out to all the amazing women out there that that adhere to the energy, those who don't have children as well, and embody their feminine, divine energy, and nurture others in their community, nurture those through representation of what success looks like. Because if it wasn't for the many women in my life that were positive influences of what womanhood looks like, I'm very grateful and appreciative to those who are still living today and those who have passed on. So I'll take a shot to all the women out there who really embrace the divine feminine energy they possess. So shout out to all y'all ladies. Y'all amazing.
Toast to the moms.
Shout out to the moms.
And with that, we would like to conclude this episode. Please, please, please follow us on all social media platforms. Twitter at Call Your Cousins, CALLYOURCOUSIN. Instagram at Call Your Cousins Pod. Please subscribe to our YouTube at Call Your Cousins as well. And, send us them emails. We love to hear from y'all. At callyourcousinspod@gmail.com. Any final thoughts? Fantastic Four.
Love y'all. Don't let nobody beat on you. Just pull your gun on them instead.
Until next time.
We do not condone violence on this pod.
Peace.
Deuces. Bye.
Deuce.